let's get the fuel tower, fuel pumps, and starter pinion on today. We're going to go ahead and put the fuel tower and the fuel pump and everything on, but before we do that, we need to get the starter pinion on here on the back. That starter pinion uses a 2A3642 gasket that goes around here, and it's got an O-ring that seals it on the inside, which we've already installed on this pinion right here. The gasket will seal it from this side here. They are available, but I forgot to order one, so we're going to make one. Looks like it's going to fit.
It can't because that one's pulling that way.
Dad's checking his safety wire one last time. We're pretty confident we got it right.
So if that tries to go that way, it can't because this is pulling that way. Same thing here.
We're going to put a little of this Ultra Slick assembly lube on this O-ring, and then I'll carry this thing over there and we'll put it in. That's more than enough.
Oh, it's got a little taper there too.
Yeah.
See it?
That's where the O-ring seats. This little drain plug that drains the water out of the engine block is right in the way of this thing. There it goes. Gonna have to turn it. Can you lift up on the end?
Yeah.
Or you gotta...
Here, no. Let me see here.
There we go.
Hang on, jiggle wiggle it.
So this is the part everybody says is
really tough.
Yeah.
If I can get a bolt started, because that O-ring is really, really snug.
I don't want to break the ears off.
No.
Bolt kind of interferes with the one going in up here, so I'm going to pull it out. Got to take this cover off of here to get that bolt started in there. So, it is what it is. We just used some longer bolts to start this O-ring, but I've got two of the factory ones, one here and one down in here, so I guess we were expecting this to be more of a fight than it actually was. That O-ring's already in and seated, so I think I'm going to pull the other ones out and put new ones in there.
Now it's going easy.
It's fine.
You got to go together.
Got a lot of touch-up to do on the paint. Dad's torquing the pinion down. That actually went on a little easier than I had anticipated. Before we forget, better put our plug back in here. See if it snaps in. Oh yeah, we got it adjusted nice.
And then, there.
Looks good.
Yeah.
The pinion's locked in. You can see the gear turn up here. This is coming off of the pony motor, and right there on the flywheel, back there, it's locked into the ring gear. So you can see it turn too. Then to disengage it, you just hold these clips here, and Dad was holding it with the lever so it won't spring back.
So it won't bite you.
Dad's just finished putting a little bit of grease on that starter pinion in the back there on the moving parts, and up next, fuel tower and fuel pump. That's the right gasket for over here.
Oh yeah, everything lines up nice.
But it won't work on the other side, and I can't get the correct gasket for the other side, but we can use that as a pattern. This dowel is different, and then it needs to have gasket across here.
Do you have the O-ring for the ferrule?
I have the ferrule and the O-ring, yeah, because this ferrule's in pretty rough shape. Let me get that. I'll get our seal.
All right, and I'll make a gasket here.
Cleaner's making a gasket again. Got the fuel tower laying here on its side, and I'm going to put a lot of this together. This ferrule, it's got a lot of pitting, it's bent, it's got some damage, so I'm going to remove it. I got a brand new one, and it's a 2A3855. But check out this cool new old stock Caterpillar box. This is definitely going in a display. Dad asked me to try and save this, but I don't think I succeeded. Looks like there's a little cosmoline on there. Let me get that cleaned off. Hoping it'll press fit in there pretty easily. There we go. Up next is a seal that goes in the bottom. This is a 4B7294. And it's just a cork. And yes, I did find one of these online. What's going to go in here next is this, I don't know what you call it. It's kind of a flange that holds the seal. And the seal is in on the other side. It's going to go in like this because the seal's job is to keep the oil in the fuel pump, which is on this side of the fuel tower. That part number is a 1H5959. I know I never use this tool right, but let's get this seal installed. Got a little oil in there, and that dowel pin right here goes right there. It can only go one way, and this is a hole where the oil can seep back. And this is a very snug fit. Before we hang it, we got this 2A3854, and this is the O-ring that goes around this ferrule we just installed. We got this all ready. I'm going to go ahead and take it off and take the seal back out of here until we get the fuel tower on, just so we don't damage it. I'm going to put a little grease on here just to have everything lubricated. I'm going to get the lift pump ready, and this is a 7B0305. That O-ring actually goes right here around this ferrule, and on top of the gasket is how it is correct and shown in the book. Got to put these studs in here. There's the two longer ones that go in the bottom, down here and here. And the short ones go in up here at the top. We had to take this ferrule out of here, and of course it got destroyed in the process, just like the last one we did, but I've got a new one, a 4B9121, and I'm going to put that in there loosely with this O-ring around it. And we've done this before, haven't we? And that's kind of what we're looking for. And what we're going to do is when I install this on the tractor, I'll just set it in there like that, and it'll self-center and seat. Got some grease on there, and I'm going to just take this ferrule, start it in that hole right there, and hopefully it'll stay put. We've also put a little grease on the gear here too. So let's give it a try. Take that off temporarily so we can keep an eye on our O-ring that's in there and make sure we get it lined up. There it goes.
All right, check your thing.
It's still in there.
Yeah, well, you're going to have to hold it a little more, and I'll turn the engine a little more.
Well, it's going now. All right, hold it. Hold it. I think I'm up all the way. I can go with this in here. Can you see in there? It still looks like it's in there. That in there, and I just realized something. There's threads in these holes here. I'm assuming you could just run a bolt in there to push this and pull it out. I kind of did it the hard way, but I was learning. All right, the seal's got to go on that shaft right there. So far, so good. Okay, time for the main fuel pump. Up next is a gasket. This is a 2A5337. Got my seal in, got the cork behind it, got our O-ring in up here. We're going to take that cover off right there and make sure we're not binding on that arm for the governor. We've got this opened up so we can look in here and see if that cam is moving up and down when I turn the engine, so that we can get this lined up down in the bottom. I see them. Yeah.
See those two are moving?
Yeah. Okay. So we do need to just tighten this up so it'll pull that O-ring together and seal it.
Yeah, you've got the O-ring on the ferrule, and then you've got this that was sticking out at the bottom too, remember?
Yes. If I can get the lock split washer on there started, then I can start the nut with the extension on my ratchet here. We got them all started. I had to use the old tape in the socket trick to get those ones clear down in there in the bottom and the back, and a universal joint. We're snugging up the last few nuts on this fuel pump, and I think we're gonna move on. Got the front of the governor open here. Dad's pulling the pin. We're gonna hook up the linkage that goes into the fuel pump. That should connect right in here inside the fuel tower. Well, Dad's working on the governor linkage. I'm gonna put this filler on here, and this is the oil fill for the fuel pump. And this is gonna take a 2A 3541 gasket.
Pull it wide open.
You want it clear against the...
Clear against the power stalk.
Well, that's right there against the
now,
override.
I want it clear back.
Past the override?
Yes.
Okay, right
so
there.
that we're sure that the pin, your pin needs to go. We could put this turnbuckle back a little bit more.
Dad just lengthened that governor arm one turn. So we're going to see where we're at here.
Push your throttle clear back. Here, I'll hold it up when we get there.
Okay.
Clear back. Okay, it'll push it clear back, so that's good.
Okay.
You see there?
Yeah.
About half of the hole.
Yep.
A good 1/8 of an inch. I think they say at least that, so it'll be fine. So now we just put our pin in.
Did you snug up your lock nut on the turnbuckle?
I did. It's tight. Okay, the hole is straight up. I'll try to hold it for you.
There we go.
Got it?
Yep.
Now, let me get this one out. Or do you want to bend that one?
Let's bend it so it doesn't turn around and fall in there. Dad's buttoning up the governor. I just got this cotter key folded. Not very easily, but it's folded. And what's next?
Check operation.
Yeah. I mean, I guess. Looks like it works.
Okay.
I don't want to put the gauge on here quite yet because we might need to do a little bit of touch-up paint on some of this stuff, and I don't want to have to tape it off. But I am going to put the new filters in here so I can have that ready, and we are going to prime this with some diesel fuel. We'll take it off at that time and put some in here when we get ready to start it. That wind is really whipping outside, so sorry if you hear it in the background. I did want to show off something very cool that I was able to source on eBay, and this is an OEM Caterpillar. It's got the old Pac-Man logo. When I was a kid, I absolutely loved that logo. And these are a 7B 262 filter. And they are the same ones that go in the D4, but this kit was made for a D2. And nope, this is not going to go into 4G. But these are the sock filters. I'm not going to take them out of the wrapping, but they are still wrapped in this paper inside of here. And it came with the cat gaskets for the fuel tower. And these do not fit the D4. They're completely different, but they're a 7B 8037. And a really cool paper instruction booklet for replacing the filters. I think these are going to live in a display that I'm going to set up for when we get 4G done and take it to shows. Interesting enough, this fuel tower on this newer 7U D4 over here, Wheezy, uses the same exact filters that we're going to put into 4G. It was a real pain to get this thing cleaned up, but I got it cleaned up. I got to clean up the surface here real quick. All these components are out of the two different 7J fuel towers, and it was interesting to note that these inserts that hold the filters on this one are Bakelite plastic. The center section on the newer one was Bakelite plastic, and it was with the aluminum inserts that hold the filters. But we're going to use the aluminum stuff and put this Bakelite stuff aside. And I get it. It's lasted over 80 years. It's probably fine. And yeah, I would use it, and we might use it. It's going on our parts shelf. but I want 4G to have the best of the best. These older Bakelite ones are actually a 2-piece, and they unscrew. There's a little bit of threads on the end of this, whereas the aluminum ones are a 1-piece. I'm not sure if it's because these are aftermarket, but this metal part kind of protrudes down here. I'm going to put it at the bottom so that the contact surface up at the top of the filter housing will actually have filtration through it. Maybe doesn't matter, but we're going to go ahead and do that anyway. This, I imagine, is going to be the tricky part, because I need to compress this spring. Oh, it doesn't look too bad. Enough to get a pin through here to hold it. I had to do that one a little off camera, but you can see that pin in there sits in that little recess, and that will keep that pin from walking out. B7635 gasket goes next, followed by our filters in the housing, and another 7B7635 up here on top, and a beautifully painted top cover. I'm not going to torque those down quite yet. We're going to have to get back in there later. Well, there you have it. We got the starter pinion, both fuel pumps, and the fuel tower on today. And I think we're going to make our deadline. We want to get this to some shows this fall. So I do want to thank you for watching, and we'll see you on the next one. That O-wing. Guess I'll unwrap this new present. Wonder what it is. It's a freshly rebuilt D4 starter pinion. How did you know, Dad? Followed by our filters in the housing. Maybe? Hello in there?